At the heart of the University of Virginia's legacy lies a hidden tale of struggle and perseverance. Enslaved individuals, their voices silenced, labored tirelessly to construct the very foundations of this esteemed institution owned by Thomas Jefferson. But their exploitation did not end there. These men and women were compelled to serve the privileged students, enduring maltreatment and neglect. Even the enslaved children suffered greatly. Join us as we explore this historic legacy. We are reminded of the untold sacrifices and stories of those who were bound by chains, yet contributed immeasurably to the university's history. Jefferson physically designed a campus that internalized everything he had learned living on plantations. It was architecturally set up to be a landscape of slavery. Enslaved people helped build almost every inch of the university, from its deep brick cell to its soaring white columns. Once students arrived at the University of Virginia, enslaved cooked their meals, cleaned their rooms, washed their clothes, tended fires in dormitories, planted and cared for the school gardens, and maintained classrooms and outhouses. Enslaved people also catered for students' daily urges. Every afternoon, an enslaved servant called on his assigned student, then took orders for errands on the grounds or in town. From the students, they also had to obey the sometimes conflicting dictates of every student or professor they passed on campus. This meant having not one master but hundreds, making daily life a living hell. Through it all, the enslaved faced unchecked abuse from the privileged pupils they served. Sometimes bored students played cruel pranks, including tricks such as setting buckets of cold water at the top of a door to douse a servant entering to clean. Other times, students nearly beat the enslaved to death, including one who looked unkempt while serving food, another who was slightly too slow to clear away feces left behind by a student's dog, not forgetting an enslaved black woman whom 2 students had raped, stripped her naked and beat her bloody, accusing her of giving them a venereal disease which they both contracted before meeting her. School records reveal students punching, kicking, and flogging enslaved people with canes. Some, frustrated with the pace of service in campus dining halls, threw knives at their enslaved waiters. Once, a student, convinced that an enslaved girl had spoken to him with insolence, beat and kicked the 10-year-old until she passed out and a physician had to be called. Enslaved women were at special risk. Rapes were routine, whether conducted in nearby houses of prostitution staffed by enslaved women or in the dark alleyways and shady corners of campus. Students steeped in a plantation culture of sexual tyranny felt the enslaved women working at the university were just one of the Virginian luxuries they had a right to, as they learned from their parents. Because the ill faculty often used politeness to hide most cases, it can be difficult to track sexual assaults in the archives. Still, the few cases available are heartbreaking. Like the 3 students took a 12-year-old girl, dragged her to an out-of-the-way cemetery and raped her. Most of the time, professors did nothing or referred the matter to local authorities, who also did nothing. No calls for discipline came from the school's great founder, Jefferson, who probably knew about students' brutalization of the enslaved. As a slave owner himself, Jefferson knew that slavery everywhere, including at his cherished college, led to violence against the enslaved. But there's nothing in the record from him, as he ignored all these atrocities taking place in his own school.